Hello and welcome back to Bannerlord Modded. This is probably going to be the final episode. I just wanted to show you what has been going on because we were attempting a rather interesting experiment. At least I think it's kind of interesting. I've always been kind of fascinated with how AI in games tends to act without any kind of player intervention, and that's exactly what I've been attempting to do here. Anyway, I have a bunch of loot to sell, so I might as well just do that, the final little bit of selling that we're going to do in this series. As you can see, we're getting another 291,000, which is pretty significant. I've also traveled down to Sargot here. Now, there's a reason why I'm down here. I'm basically going to do something. So, in this episode, I'm going to attempt to take as much territory as I possibly can in a very speedrun-esque manner, and I'm obviously not going to... I'm not going to hold back, I'm not going to roleplay, I'm not going to do anything like that. We're just going to go super fast, see how many things we can take in the allotted time. I'm going to set a time limit of, I don't know, 35 minutes or so, and we'll see how long it takes us. You know, we'll see how many things we're able to capture. Anyway, I was actually basically starting a whole bunch of parties, and these parties have actually been very interesting because I've been watching them on the map as I've been basically just idling around. I haven't really been doing anything too specific, and I basically just allowed these guys to be created in a little bit of time ago, in fact, and we're just going to do this, okay? This is literally all I did. I basically created the party and then just sent them off with one unit themselves, and that's it. That's literally all I did for them, and then I let them fend for themselves, and then I kind of just wanted to see what was actually happening with them, see how they responded to basically just being put out into the world in the weakest possible state. And all of the parties, interestingly enough, all of the parties have survived. Amazingly enough. I'm actually unsure how that was even possible, because generally the AI is kind of a little bit dense when it comes to preventing themselves from being captured by bandits or what have you. But in the case of these parties, they have been very, very successful. So I'm just going to make a whole bunch more, and in this episode, we're going to see where they all end up. Obviously, we're going to make a full 16, so we have 2 more to make, and I'm basically just taking the companions that have been created the most recently for this very purpose. Anyway, 1 more needs to be done. There we go. Okay, fantastic. So they are all going to go off now. They're going to attempt to recruit people from the various surrounding areas. And as you can see, my companions have actually increased to 106. So I literally have 106 companions on the world map at the moment, whether that be in my party or whether that be elsewhere. Now, one thing I'm actually going to do, Western Empire is actually wanting to have peace. I'm actually going to say no to that. But one thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to kill these bandits real fast, because I think it's kind of unfair to plop down a bunch of newly made parties right next to a 74 stack bandit party. I don't think that's right. So we're just going to take them out real fast. Anyway, what do you really want to see? You really want to see the map, don't you? Yes, you want to see what the map is looking like. You want to see what the AI was capable of in all this time, because you can see by the date that it has been, I think, 2 or maybe even 3 seasons, and that's actually kind of a big deal, you know. 2 or 3 seasons in Bannerlord, it actually takes a pretty long amount of time to pass. So let me actually show you. Let me show you what's going on here. So yeah, you can see here, eventually the Britannians and their non-aggression pact was dropped, and immediately I declared war, and then I instituted an offensive war strategy against them. And immediately 3 of my armies decided to capture the 3 of their towns. That was Sionan, Dunglanis, and Caerban Seth. And there you go. That's basically all she wrote, because then they only had, I believe, Utherlame Castle, Gersagos Castle, and I believe that is it. And they were actually captured very swiftly after that as well. Apart from that, we haven't really been that successful in fighting the Sturgians. They reached, well, actually, they forced us to reach 100 war exhaustion, and so as a result we were forced to make peace with them, unfortunately. But you can see here that they're not actually doing very well as it is. They only have 1, 2, 3, 4 towns and 1 castle, because they have been at war against the Crusade. As you can see right here, the Crusade have obviously expanded outward into the north, as they usually do. And then otherwise, we're not doing very well down here in Azerai territory either. Jamiyeh Castle was taken away from us, and Habyar, as you can see, is currently under siege. Because, let's face it, it's highly unlikely that we would be able to defend that from our current position. There are a whole bunch of people down there, though, of course, and they might very well decide to assist them. Also, we have Salia here. She is leading her very own army, and Ortisia is currently under siege. Hopefully, Thule and her are going to do a good job of defending it. And then otherwise, well, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all that's happened. I've basically just been trying to expand as much as I possibly can. In other words, I have been creating parties. I created an additional clan, and that's pretty much it. That's all I've been doing. Anyway, this is what our current combat strength is all about. You can see here that we've been at war with these guys for 55 days, so almost 2 months. And these are the combat stats. So you can see here that we have 23,000 combat strength almost. And the Crusade are actually the strongest faction against us at the moment. Everyone else is looking extremely bad. I could technically declare war against the Batanians or the Sturgians or any of these people again, but there's no point, really. There's no point. Anyway, as I said, we're going to do a bit of a speedrun challenge sort of thing here, and I'm going to see how fast it is when the player, i.e. me, actually participates in the attack on varieties of fiefs. And I'm not going to replenish my army at all. I'm not going to do anything in that regard. I'm basically just going to go for it as fast as we possibly can. No auto resolves, but I will be using super fast mode. Okay, so generally I'm just going to let my forces do their thing, and we're going to go in there and see how fast it actually turns out to be and how much we're able to capture. Going to set a... oh, never mind. Apparently I'm not going to set a time limit, because apparently there's a massive army coming to attempt to take Ortisia. This is actually pretty... this is a pretty significant fight. I was not expecting something like this. That is for sure. But once this is done, I don't even know. These guys are literally going to be completely destroyed. Wow. This is really bad for them. Look at the height advantage that we have right now. Look at the scenery. This is actually crazy. The scenery is really nice. Wow. I'm actually kind of surprised. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be, because the battle terrain update really did make a huge difference in what you're going to see in these battles, because we are very close to the coast. As it is, you know, we're really close to Ortisia after all. So it does make sense. And I'm going to see what I can do here against these guys. Yeah, take out one of those Imperial Heavy Horsemen. And yeah, you can kind of see what's going on here. Most of my people are actually completely just murdering everyone. And that is obviously to be expected. But yeah, I said no auto resolves, and I will be sticking to that as much as I possibly can. And generally, we are probably not going to count this, to be honest, for the speedrun sort of thing, because generally I'm not much of a speedrunner. But generally, if we are going to try and take things as fast as we possibly can, then I will be using super fast mode, obviously. But you know, that's obviously not really. It's not really legit, you know what I mean? It's not really legit. I mean, it is legit in the case that our forces are doing the work, so it's not a glitch or anything like that. But it is in real time making it much faster than it would otherwise be. So obviously this is not like an official challenge or anything like that. I mean, to be honest, I mean, why would it be? You know, I mean, generally, if you're going to speedrun Bannerlord, there's more than likely going to be a much better strategy to employ rather than, you know, playing for many hours. I mean, I have played this particular campaign for many hours, and generally a speedrunner would be done by now, probably. Yeah, so anyway, I'm gonna just speed things up real fast. I'm gonna try not to actually run off the map, because that is quite easy to do with a horse. So I'm gonna be a little bit careful about that, and we're just gonna allow our forces to do their thing. As you can see, my archers just creeping forward here very, very slightly. I'm gonna put them into a skirmish formation, or should we say auto-delegation, and we're just going to allow our forces to finish up this battle. And we might see some deaths. I'm actually not sure. We might see some deaths. We might not. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. But yeah, there's really no one that can really fight us. Now, I have received a very interesting comment, and this was in the last day or so. I think we may have found the new theme for the next series, and I gotta say I'm a bit scared. I'm a bit scared by it, to be honest, because this is one of those ideas that really puts me in a very challenging position, and well, I think that actually could be a really nice change of pace. Obviously, the fact that we are always becoming very, very powerful over the course of a campaign. I mean, obviously that's the purpose of the game, of course. You know, the purpose of the game is, as an RPG, to make your character as powerful as you possibly can make it. You know, that's obviously the goal. You know, the goal is to achieve world domination. Of course it is. However, the path to getting there could be a little bit more interesting and a little bit more challenging as a result. And so the idea that I've received involves My Little Warband. I'm pretty sure the person that suggested it is going to know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to reveal any more than the fact that it uses My Little Warband and copies a few things from some other places in the game. And we're going to try to sort of play within a relatively strict rule set, and we'll see how it goes, because I'm actually I don't know how it's gonna work, but it's definitely gonna be very, very difficult. At least in my opinion, it will be very difficult to make it work, at least initially. Maybe there's going to be a couple of setbacks and things like that, but I think it could be probably one of the most entertaining series, because this idea is something that I've not done before. There was a time when I did do something relatively similar, and it was a short-ish series, but that was a little bit overpowered. That was a little bit overpowered, the previous series that I'm talking about. And while we did attempt to have a theme, it's sometimes very difficult to stick to that if you're using a mod that provides you with additional units, you know what I mean? So, for example, I'm not talking about the Ronin series here, but I'm talking about another one that if I tell you what it is, then obviously I'm going to give away the theme, and it's gonna it's gonna ruin the surprise, and that's gonna be terrible, isn't it? Yes. That's going to be pretty awful. Anyway, I am going to continue leveling up forces here, even though I don't know why, but I'm going to continue doing that. And there we have it. Alright, so they've retreated to the keep. That's absolutely fine. I don't mind about that. We're going to just auto-resolve. I did say we are not going to do any auto-resolves, but we will do auto-resolves when it comes to going into the keep and eliminating the last remaining units. That just makes sense to me. And we are not going to be claiming anything. That's the other thing that I am also not going to do. I'm not going to claim anything at all. We're going to allow the AI to decide exactly what they want to do with these fiefs. So anyone that has the most support, they're going to be the ones that will be achieving, gaining the most fiefs and things like that. But this is exactly the kind of thing that I'm thinking is going to be kind of interesting. So I'm going to set a time limit of 35 minutes for this episode, I think, somewhere around there. And we're going to see how much we can take in that time. And obviously, war exhaustion permitting and all of that stuff, we're going to have to be a little bit careful about that, because obviously if war exhaustion for us reaches 100, then of course an enemy faction is going to force us into a peace declaration, and of course that's going to be kind of defeating the purpose of attacking them and so on. So we should really try to focus on attacking that particular faction as much as we possibly can before our war exhaustion reaches its maximum point. And that's the reason why I'm actually attacking the Western Empire right now, because I think the Western Empire is currently wanting peace, but I don't really want to give that to them, obviously, because that will be kind of not really making sense. Anyway, I'm just basically giving very very static skills at the moment, not really going for anything too particular here. And once again, we are not going to be claiming anything, not going to be going in anywhere or doing anything like that. And yeah, Urgion is obviously attempting to take Jarmeris at the moment, which is actually pretty nice. And it feels to me like the Azerai is going to force us into a peace agreement before anyone else, although the Western Empire is certainly trying their best to do just that. But what I've actually found, at least from some testing in the past, is that when you do this kind of sieging, and when you're trying to take things as fast as possible, you just don't build anything. Especially when you're dealing with the Empire's fiefs, that is. When you're dealing with the Empire's fiefs, this is probably the most efficient method of getting inside the keep, inside the walls, because you literally don't have to worry about building anything. You don't have to build a siege tower, battering ram, nothing. You can basically just rely on the ladders, because they have such good walls that you don't need anything else to kind of give the solid structure for you to be able to, get up these various places, Whereas when you're doing a Battanian siege, you probably do need that. You probably do need something like that, because it is very, very difficult to get inside a Battanian fief if you are not having any of those things, not having any of those support structures or anything like that. Okay, so yeah, once again, I am going to be declining. And hello, Sicanus is actually coming over here. Okay, I'm not a big fan of Sicanus coming over here with 1,200 units. That's a pretty significant army. Is this guy the leader? He is. Okay, well, I actually can't do anything about that. Yeah, so we're just going to have to auto-resolve against him, and I will take him prisoner so that we can prevent him from potentially raiding anything or capturing anything or helping out his forces in general. And I'd like to make peace with the Southern Empire right now, because it feels to me like the Southern Empire is pretty strong, so maybe I should do that strategically. What do you think? Do you think I should do that strategically? I'm not entirely sure. I really do not want to take this for myself. I'm going to give this to Prindor, I believe. I'm kind of surprised that they're all saying that I should take ownership of Rote. That's a bit strange. But anyway, we're going to make peace with the Southern Empire. Propose peace. There we go. All right, perfect. So now we don't have to fight that army. You see, it's all strategic. It's all strategic. Don't worry, don't worry. Everything is going to work out just fine, because I obviously will be redeclaring war against them relatively soon. At least as soon as I possibly can, because of course we do want to focus on the people that we currently want to murder, and that is of course the Western Empire right now. Can I phase through? Yep. It is a lot of fun to literally do that. It is a lot of fun, albeit obviously not really something you want to do all the time, but it is very amusing that you're actually able to do that with the super fast mode. Anyway, that's another victory for us, as you can no doubt tell. Very, very easy. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna show you my difficulty settings real fast, because I want you to see that we are just that strong. I'm not trying to show off or anything like that. I just basically want to show you that, nothing has changed, and this is exactly the reason why the series must end at this point, because it's just way too simple for us to take stuff. It really is just much too simple, and it would just be sort of a formality, you know what I mean? It would just be way too much of a formality for us to take stuff. So yeah, campaign options, as you can see, everything is on realistic, and nothing has been changed at all. So yeah, there's also that. Anyway, Urgion, oh no, Urgion, what are you doing, sir? Okay, apparently he decided not to continue his siege, at Jamaris. I'm actually kind of disappointed. I don't know why he decided to do that, but okay. I have no idea. All right. No problem from my side, but it would have been really nice for us to see him actually do something like that. Anyway, when we get out of this particular siege, I'm gonna show the war strategy screen, and I'm actually going to change that up a little bit because I want to try and maximize our aggression against the Northern Empire next, because the Northern Empire has Epicrotia still, as far as I'm aware. They have attempted to take Mazhadan Castle from me as well, which they were actually successful in doing, because of course I was not there to do anything. You know, I was basically just, you know, chilling at the back of the bus, so to speak, and not really doing anything, you know, just allowing my companions and the AI to do whatever they wanted. And so they were able to do that without any opposition, which is obviously not great. But yeah, anyway, let's resolve this. I don't want it to go to me, so I'm going to give it to Calatilde. I'm going to spend increasing large numbers of influence right here as well to give it to other people. And the Northern Empire, we are going to go aggressive against them. Let's do it. Western Empire is also at war against Britannia, amusingly enough, by the looks of things. Okay, so Zionica has now been besieged by this guy. I will not allow you to take this, sir. I'm sorry. We will go in here and we will murder you. He is a mercenary company, after all. I will take him prisoner, and then what we're actually going to do is I'm going to go in to the marketplace real fast, because it seems to me like I have a full inventory and it would be a pretty good idea. Yeah, as you can see right here, we have a very, very full inventory, so I'm just going to sell all of this stuff. Look at how much money we are making literally just by randomly running around using super fast mode. It's just absolutely crazy. Okay, yeah, this is actually better than what I'm wearing, so I'm gonna just get that equipped. There we are. That's another 415,000. So technically, if I wanted to, I could probably send a messenger right now to a bunch of people in probably the Northern Empire. Should I try? Should I try actually speaking to some people, or should I just continue murdering and, you know, doing all that stuff? It seems like this might actually take way too long as it is, because, you know, these places are I mean, these people are inevitably going to be in prison. They're probably going to be in prison, or they're going to have just been defeated by someone, and as a result, we will not be able to speak to them no matter what. So, yeah, that's probably what's going to happen there. Anyway, he did actually go into Jamaris by the looks of things. He did actually go in here, but he was unable to finish the job. So I will be finishing it for him then, by the looks of things, and we will see what he'll do next. Hopefully he will go over to the Northern Empire fiefs and he'll try to take that or something. You know, personally, I actually feel like it would be pretty cool if you could talk to prisoners in various places around the world, and I would expect them to be able to have correspondence in some way, but maybe that's not realistic in these times. I mean, I obviously have no clue about that historically, but I would have expected some prisoners to be able to receive some letters whereabouts, but I suppose if you think about it, it's probably not very realistic at all, because then there's going to be secret codes being passed to people, there's going to be, you know, betrayals going all over the place and everything. So yeah, it's probably not going to be a thing that would happen, but it would be kind of nice to be able to speak to some of these vassals, so that we could potentially say, hey, I can, you know, what about, I can pay your ransom so you can be released from prison if you just give me your fief, or something like that. You know what I mean? I could also pay for the fief, you know? So yeah, generally I feel like it would be kind of cool to have that open, but obviously, again, it's probably going to be way too imbalanced and way too much in the player's favor in that regard, because then the player, if they have everything has a price, is basically just going to go up to some guy, you know, who's down on his luck, and then you're basically going to say, hey, hey fellow, hey friend, would you mind giving me this fief? And then they're going to be like, yeah, sure, here you go. So yeah, that's probably not really going to work, but you know, it was a nice idea nevertheless. Okay, so once again, we're just going to take this castle and we're going to see how we do. I'm going to... Can I get in here? Oh, look at that. I can't phase through that wall. Oh, I can phase through there, though. That's really weird. Okay, I have no idea what's going on with that, but yeah. You know, I kind of felt like going in here and just slashing a couple of people because this is gonna be the final time I'm gonna see this character, so it would be kind of fun to just have a little bit of an enjoyable slashing good time. And yeah, it's always fun to wield a massive two-handed sword, isn't it? It is. It is always fun to do that. All right. Well, there you go. Anyway. So, what do they have? What does the Western Empire actually have left? Because I'm unsure, and we were forced to make peace with someone as well, by the way. I don't know whether you noticed that particular message, but let's take a look. Okay, we were forced to make peace against the Azurai. Yes. Okay, that's actually, amusingly enough, I would actually say that that was doing us a favor. Don't you think? I think that was very much doing us a favor. I'm going to very quickly try to rush over to Sister Dime Castle. I don't think I'm going to get there in time before the war exhaustion kicks in for us. But if I am able to get there in time, then very good for me. No. Oh, no, there we go. Unfortunate. Yep, there you go. Okay, so now we are at peace with them as well. So I guess the best thing I can do is go over to Epicrotia and attempt to take that as well. And yeah, it's actually kind of funny that the game forces you into these decisions where you are forced to basically take part in the vote. Which I suppose is okay because you are indeed the leader, or Barney in this case is the leader of his faction, so I suppose it does sort of follow logic to assume that he would have a say in who is getting a fief and so on. But generally, if there are enough supporters of a particular vassal, then it's going to be very difficult for him to overrule that without spending an extremely large amount of influence, of course. But, oh well. I mean, we have it, you know, we have the amount of influence that we're going to need to be able to, well, basically overturn pretty much any decision that the AI lords could make, but still, you know, it's still a case of, well, not everyone is going to have that, you know, not everyone is going to have over 6,000 influence, you know, it's kind of a bit of a weird situation, but anyway. Yeah, that's going to be Epicrotia taken for us as well, and we are coming up on the 30-minute mark for this episode. Obviously, this is not when we actually started the whole speedrun timer sort of thing, but it's still kind of interesting to see how far you can actually come, and this is actually kind of the whole purpose of this experiment as well. It's basically just, you know, showing myself, you know, kind of how strong we have become, that we really don't have anywhere else to go, really. I mean, it's, as I say, it's just a formality now. Which is actually sad, in my opinion. I feel like that's kind of sad. Although, I mean, as I say, it is an RPG, and generally in an RPG, there is going to be an upward curve of power. You know, so you start off at level 1 and eventually you get to level 100 or whatever it is, whatever the maximum cap is in that particular game or whatever. And then, of course, well, then you are the most powerful entity in the world, so to speak. So it kind of, you know, follows along that whole RPG spectrum. But yeah, because you're never really going to be the weakest possible, you know, the weakest possible citizen in the world ever, right? I mean, unless you're playing Dark Souls, you know, if you're playing Dark Souls, if you're playing like a Souls-like or something like that, you may still get strong, and you may still feel strong, but some of the time you really do get murdered, and you can still get murdered even if you are well prepared, well practiced, and you are a relatively high level, you know. Most of the time, you're going to be okay because you're practiced and you're used to using the weapon that you're using, and you're used to the whole way that, you know, the game works and everything. But sometimes you come across that one enemy that just catches you unawares, and then boom, you're dead. Then you got to run back from the bonfire and get your souls. Yeah, you know, that kind of thing can happen, even if you are max level. But obviously, max level in Dark Souls is kind of like a bit of a facsimile, I suppose, because I don't think you can actually... I mean, there are... I can assume that there is a max level eventually, but I think it actually just continues going, doesn't it? I think it's just exponential increase over many different playthroughs, because you can literally play, like, what is it, new game plus 10 or something like that. You can literally go all the way up to that, as far as I remember, at least. Obviously, it's been a long time since I played Dark Souls or anything like that, but generally, I think level is not really a thing, you know, because even if you're level 1, you can still complete the game. That's the beauty of that experience, you know. It's very very cool. But as I say, it's not a standard RPG experience. That's what I'm trying to get at here. It's not a standard RPG experience where the curve of your power continually goes up. It's a bit more of a wave-like structure, because when you first start off, you think to yourself, oh wow, I'm really weak, right? You know, I can't tackle this guy or that guy or this guy or that guy. But then you level up a little bit, and then you think, oh, look at that, I can actually tackle these regular units now. And then as time goes on, you eventually reach other enemies that are now on your same power level, and again and again and again, it levels out. You see? So there's always going to be a relative challenge. And I guess that's the point I'm trying to get across here, that is not how it works in Bannerlord or in other, shall we say, more linear RPGs, because obviously right now we are very strong. And it's just a nice, gentle upward curve. But obviously, I mean, that's how it is, you know? That's how it is. That's the RPG. Okay, look at that. Shalar has reached the age of 2. Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Okay, yeah, so we're going to do that right now before we go into the siege. Okay, so let's have a look here. Yes, Vigor. Vigor's increased by 1. Vigor is increased by 1, and there we go. Cunning and intelligence and all that stuff. Okay, fantastic. So... yeah, we've got that going on there as well. And what else do we have going on here? Northern Empire. No, I'm going to say no to you, sir. Owner of Epicrotia. Let's have a look. Okay, they want it to be me, but I do not want to own it. So I'm going to give it to Osric. Going to spend another 500 influence. Bear in mind, I could make many, many clans right now. I could literally make as many clans as I wanted, to be honest. Let's put offensive for the Crusade as well, so that we could potentially go and attack them a little bit too. And I think we're coming up on 35 minutes on the episode as well. So we're going to take stock of how much we've been able to capture after this siege, because that is probably when the Northern Empire is going to force us into a peace agreement with their war exhaustion, or with our war exhaustion, shall we say. And they left the gates wide open. Did you see that? They literally left the gate wide open, so I'm just going to go in there. I mean, it was open at the time. And I didn't phase through the gate or anything like that. You did see that, right? I didn't just imagine that the gate was open. No, look, see? There you go. It's actually opened again. Okay, yeah. So some of my forces actually managed to get inside, amazingly enough. So that's pretty cool. I love it when that kind of thing happens. You know, when the AI that you have under your command actually does something that you don't expect. I think that's super fun. And every single time I see something, it's always like, yes! Good work, sir. You know, good work doing something that I had no idea that you were going to do, and actually surprising me. And there we go. We can now just speed things up a little bit more. And that's a done deal. That is indeed a done deal right there. And we can now just do this. Bear in mind, I'm not really... again, I'm not really choosing these skills particularly carefully. I'm basically just selecting the same thing every single time. Because obviously athletics is perfect, you know, for doing really, really fast sieges and everything. Anyway, show mercy, decline, and then we'll move on. Okay, so let's actually have a look here, because obviously our war exhaustion is almost at 100. I could technically go on to Saniopa, Atrion Castle, and Argeron here as well, but as you can see, I've basically taken pretty much half the map. You know, and you can see the Azurai, they're basically limping along with 3 castles, 3 towns, The Crusade are the strongest because, of course, they are the furthest away from us at the moment, and everyone else is kind of on the back foot. So, yeah. And we've we've increased our power even further to 27,000, which of course is to be expected, of course, because we obviously gained more territory, and I have created more parties and things like that. And we currently have these armies on the world map at the moment. You can see here that Salia is traveling to Mazadaan Castle to besiege that, which is really nice. And yeah, everyone's working really nicely together, actually. Alright, so how are our parties doing? Let's check on those guys before we end this off here. Oh, it seems like 3 of my parties have been defeated. Not entirely sure how that happened, but I can assume that they were called to an army, and then that army was defeated. I haven't really been taking too much notice of what's going on in the text log, but I can assume that that would probably be the case. But yeah, apart from that, we do have 4 children. Zigertruda, she is the most recent. She's the most recent to be born. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We ended with 124 companions. It seems like there is no limit to how many companions you can have, as long as you have distinguished service installed. I was actually going to say extinguished service once again, but no, it is distinguished. Thank you. So anyway, that's going to be it for this series, and I thank you very much for joining me along this journey. It's always a pleasure to spend this time with you, and hopefully you enjoyed it. And otherwise, we're going to be creating a new series with a very hardcore mindset. Yes, it is a very hardcore mindset that uses My Little Warband, and we're going to see how that works. I'm going to have to do a little bit of testing first off screen to make sure that everything's working as intended, but it is going to prevent a lot of the sort of, shall we say, quote-unquote, overpowered feeling that this series and a couple of other series may have had. So it's going to be a little bit more... not so much realistic, but it's going to be much more punishing, and it's going to have a bit more of a Dark Souls feel, I guess. Maybe. Not entirely sure. Anyway, stick around for that. It's going to appear on the channel soon. Yeah, I hope to see you there. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.